Hello everyone, welcome to the Selkares Wargaming channel for this new training on Wargame Island Battle. So this training, last video I was focusing on the support units, the anti-air, and before going to the artillery, I was thinking doing a little passage to the planes, to the airplanes. So the airplanes in Wargame Island Battle it is the new category compared to Wargame European Escalation, and it is a very special category in my opinion. It is a special category for two reasons. Why? Because first, it's a category you can totally not put in your deck. You can totally ignore planes if you want to, because planes can be stopped by anti-air, and planes are basically divided into two categories: ground attack planes with ATGM, bombs, rockets, and fighter planes that intercept enemy planes. And both these categories can be totally their roles can be done by other units. Interceptor planes can be replaced by anti-air, and ground attack planes can be replaced by any ground ATGM, ground tank, infantry, and so on and so forth. But the plane category is a category that, if properly used and if the enemy isn't prepared to receive your planes, it is one of the categories that can be the most cost efficient. It can destroy a lot of things with very few units. So it's something that really has to be studied to make sure you know how to use them. Planes can be divided into two categories: ground attack and interceptor planes. Ground attack are the most common planes you see. They are there to support your strategy, because Wargame is a game that is played on the ground. Command vehicles capture sectors, tanks, infantry vehicles attack or defend areas. Ground attack planes are there to support your offensive or defensive strategies. Interceptor planes are here to defend your units and or your planes from enemy air units. So basically, when you create a deck, the units you want to take are first interceptor units to make sure you can defend yourself from enemy planes, and then ground attack units if you want to support your ground troops against enemy units. Let's see what different. In this video we'll see what different categories we have in the plane section. But before that, I propose a small overview of the different stats that are common to all the planes that are really important to see. Mainly all the stats down here. So first and foremost, the two most important stats in my opinions are speed and ECM. Speed determines first for planes the time that they will take to go from the edge of the map to the area you want them to go. So it's pretty important. The faster they are, the fastest they arrive at the destination point, which is pretty important. And second, the faster they are, the faster they'll be able to get away from a dangerous area where a lot of anti-air are present. So it's some sort of defensive stat also that allows you to get away from anti-air missiles before they hit your plane. Anti-air missiles have a certain speed, and if your plane is quick enough, it can evacuate before the missile hits your plane. Slower planes will get hit more often than faster planes, of course. Second stat, ECM, for electronic countermeasures. This stat works exactly the same way as the size stats for ground units. Ground units have a size stat. Here, for example, big, yeah, I know, medium. The size determines the chance you have to hit. Well, is a modifier on the accuracy of shooting units. If I've got a unit shooting on a very big unit, my accuracy will basically remain the same. And the smaller the unit becomes, the lower my accuracy gets, because of course it's harder to shoot a smaller unit. With ECM, it's basically the same thing. The better the ECM, the worse the accuracy of the shooter will become. That's basically it. So, speed to get into a situation and to get out of a situation, ECM to avoid missiles and incoming, anti-air weapons. Basically the two most important stats. What about the rest? Well, strength, all the planes have 10 HP, so no need to compare. Optics, they all have bad optics. The planes can't detect enemy units apart from helicopters at close range, so yeah, don't need to compare that. Fuel and autonomy, not really that important, because it's either ground attack planes, you just send them, they pass once and go away. The only planes where you want a good fuel or autonomy are interceptor planes that you leave on the map. They circle the map to intercept enemy planes. You may want a good autonomy, but that's not the stat I usually look at. Stabilizers, I don't really know how it affects the planes. As it says, the more accurate the unit will fire on the move, but planes all fire on the move. So, and they basically all have, well, generally all have very good stabilizers, but some have none. I'm not sure how it affects them. Or maybe it's just, yeah, it looks like it may be depending on if they've got autocannons or not. That's basically it, actually. But it's the stat that you don't really need to look at. Year type, we don't care. The other stat is stealth. Stealth is pretty important also. It determines, just like ground units, how far your unit can be detected by enemy recon units. So basically planes have poor stealth. Some of them have better, and the best example is the F-117 Nighthawk, of course, with exceptional stealth. This unit usually launches its missile before the enemy units can see him, so it's pretty nice. Last stat, it's the armor of the unit. Basically, all the planes have 0 armor, so it's a stat you don't really need to look at because as they've all got the same, you can't compare, so it's useless. Only 3 planes have different armor. It's the A-10 Thunderbolt 2 with 2-1-2-1 armor on the front, the side, the rear, and the top. And its packed counterpart, the Su-25 and 25T, with 2-1-1-1 and 2-1-1-1 as armor. So that's basically it. So now let's look a bit more in depth to the different planes. Let's start with the ground attack planes. First, well, let's start with the ATGM. We've got this plane. To come back to the speed stat, this is a stat that's a bit controversial. ECM is ECM and stealth, the better it is for any plane. Any plane, you want the best ECM possible, the best stealth possible, and so on and so forth. Speed is a bit different. Interceptor planes, you want a nice speed to come into the to the attack point, or to catch the enemy planes and evacuate the fastest possible. So that's you want a nice speed. For ground attack planes like the ATGM planes like the A-10, it's something different, because you've got 6 missiles here with a rate of fire of 17 rounds per minute. And the problem is, if you're too fast, your plane will be able to launch only like 1 missile in one pass. If you are slower, he'll have the chance to shoot 1, 2, or maybe 3 missiles in one pass. So speed for ground attack missiles like ATGM planes is something that you want quite fast to arrive quickly and go and flee quickly, but you don't want it too high to allow the unit to launch multiple missiles in only one pass. If not, well, you have to make a second pass to use all your missiles, or you'll evacuate without using all your missiles, so meaning you won't be 100% cost efficient. Of course, it always depends on your weapons. If you take another ground attack plane like the Super Étendard, it has a higher rate of fire and only 1 missile. So in this case, you actually want high speed because it doesn't need time to launch a second missile. It doesn't have a second missile. So basically, speed, you want a nice speed for every plane except a couple of them that attack on the ground with missiles. You want a smaller speed to be able to send more missiles. Of course, that depends on your taste and on the player's choice. It always depends on that in the end. The other stats that are pretty important: range, of course, to fire your missile pretty far away. That allows you to fire multiple missiles. Accuracy, of course, so that all your missiles hit. IP power, because you target tanks, so the bigger the better. And rate of fire, of course, as I said earlier, to launch multiple missiles at the same time, or in the same pass. So that's basically it for ground attack planes. These guys are generally very, very close to their targets, so you want quite a good ACM or a good armor like the A10 or the Su-25 or 25T on the packed side, on the USSR side. Other types of ground attack planes, it's the ones that launch bombs. Yeah. First type of bomb, high explosive bombs, like the intruder here. High explosive bombs. These bombs have HE power going from 10 to 20, from 227 kilograms to 1,000 kilograms. 1,000 kilogram is the F-15 Strike Eagle here. 4 1-ton bombs, 20 HE. The stats you want to look at when you look at these units is first, of course, the HE. Then the range to launch the bombs quite fast and get away. Of course, there's the ECM and speed, but I won't talk about those stats anymore because it's basically the bigger the better. So it's HE, range. Accuracy isn't that necessary in my opinion because it's just bombs that you launch. And rate of fire determines the time lapse between two bombs launched. So that means that the higher rate of fire, the closer the bombs will be, so the smaller the area of impact you'll have. So that's good or bad depending on what to do. If you want to hit a large area, you want a lot of bombs and not necessarily a good rate of fire. If you want a small area, you want a very high rate of fire and maybe fewer bombs. More bombs won't necessarily be useful because they'll just hit before and after the target doing nothing. So HE and accuracy determine, HE power determines the potential target you can kill. Rate of fire and the number of bombs determines more or less the size of the area you'll hit. Bombs are generally targeted to infantry and light vehicles. The bigger bombs, like the F-15 Strike Eagle with its 20 HE bombs, can target light tanks or even some heavy tanks, but they won't deal that much damage, to be honest. One unit a bit apart is the F-170 Nighthawk. It's like a bomb launching plane, except it's the same thing, except it's much more powerful. And it's not a bomb, it's a missile. It's a guided missile, so it works like a bomb. You can target units, you can make a ground attack, but it follows its target, so it will never miss. Well, generally never miss, and it deals a huge amount of damage. So this plane is really apart. It's quite a unique plane, and you have to test it to really understand how it works. Second type of ground attack bombs is the cluster. The cluster, just like the Artvac here, is the type of bomb that can target only vehicles. It will do 0 damage to infantry. It has generally accuracy 4, AP power 4, and it targets, of course, the top armor of vehicles. So that's why it's limited to 4, top armor of vehicles being limited to 4 also. These bombs are quite efficient. Once again, you want to look at the range and the number of bombs and the high rate of fire to see if you'll be hitting a small or a larger area, depending if you want to hit. If you want to hit a single tank, you don't really need the F111F Artvac. You'd prefer the E category because it's the same LP power, and the 4 additional bombs for this one won't be really necessary because they'll just hit before and after the tank. If, on the other hand, you want to hit a big group of units, well, the more the bombs, the better, of course. Third and last type of ground attack bombs, the napalm bombs, like the Corsair 2 here. Napalms are a bit like the HE bombs. They target, generally exclusively infantry and light vehicles. The difference is that their damage is over the time. They also deal a high morale damage. They block line of sight and can be used as a strategic weapon, meaning blocking roads, blocking line of sight, and they can be used to really be a pain in the ass, basically, for the opponent. Basically, you can use them to block a road in front of a city at the beginning of the game, to block the enemy convoy. Enemy light transports will get killed, infantry will flee from the fire, of course. When used in a city, normal bombs like the intruder bombs will just deal damage. Napalm bombs won't deal that much damage, but will force the enemy squads to flee from the sector they are controlling. So that's pretty much that's quite nice. That pushes the enemy back, or pushes him on the side and allows you to detect him and shoot him out in the open. So basically that's it, and once again, like every ground attack, just look at the range, the number of bombs and the rate of fire to see if it'll be really scattered or grouped. The last attack, the ground attack plane, is the planes that use rockets, just like the Harrier over here. These planes, we see them less often because rockets don't seem that useful. It's generally HE3, so not really that powerful, but you can also quite a few of them. You need to check the amount of ammunition. 38 rockets, you won't shoot all those rockets in one pass, so of course it's not really necessary to have that much rockets unless you are able to make a second pass. Cheap planes like the Skyhawk here are quite nice. 8 rockets, HE3, only 30 points, it's quite nice. So these planes with its low HE target exclusively infantry and light vehicles, just like the other explosive and napalm. But then what's the use? Why would I take a rocket plane if I can do this with these guys who have better HE power and the advantage of napalm? Well, for one simple reason, precision. That's what I think. First and foremost, generally good players in front of you will see your planes coming, so they will see your planes launching their bombs, be it high explosive or napalm rounds, and they'll move the units before the bombs hit the ground. It's quite a long time between the time the bombs are launched by the plane and the bombs hit the ground, and in that time he can move and avoid your units. Something he can't do against the rockets, because the rockets, just like the ATGM units, they go right to the ground and hit the rockets nearly at point blank range and hit precisely the enemy units. So even a moving transport, a moving infantry squad, a moving light vehicle is hit by rockets. Of course, it's very short range, makes it very vulnerable to anti-air, so it's generally better to use it in very specific situations when the enemy is attacking but hasn't got that much anti-air. So that's always up to you to choose your units, the units you prefer. The last ground attack plane that I didn't mention is a bit specific. It's the Seed plane. Which one can I show you? The Raven, for instance, or the Prowler. Seed, meaning suppression of enemy air defenses, of course. These planes are target exclusively radar anti-air units. The stats that are really important with this plane is the number of missiles, because the most missiles, the most anti-air units will be able to kill. Speed and DCM also of course, because you'll be going above the enemy positions, so you'll be vulnerable to enemy anti-air weapons. And the accuracy, because you want to hit the units you target. The AP power is totally useless. Having 20 instead of 24 is totally useless because you are targeting enemy anti-air, and they basically have 1 or 2 AP armor. So having 24 instead of 20 is, well, insignificant. It's a gain you don't really need. The really important thing is rate of fire, range, to shoot at the enemy anti-air as far as possible to avoid getting hit back from the unit, and accuracy, of course. In the second video I'm going to make about planes, I'm going to show you a bit how to use the planes, and especially how to use seed planes, just to give you a little example of how to use them. That's basically it for the ground attack planes. Now we go to the interceptors. The interceptors are basically divided into 3 categories: short, medium, and long range. Short planes, we've got units like the F-104G Starfighter. These planes are relatively fast, they are quite maneuverable, and have a good autocannons. One thing I didn't talk about the planes is the maneuverability of the planes. It isn't indicated in the stats, but you really see it on the battlefield. Some planes may maneuver, meaning turn, faster and easier than other planes. These planes in the air superiority fighter category is really important. Some planes turn really faster, meaning they can avoid enemy incoming planes easier, or they can follow enemy planes easier and stick on their tail and kill them with their autocannon easier. So these are the short-range planes. They've got short-range missiles, they've got autocannons allowing them to follow enemy planes, kill them with their guns, and be really efficient. Second category, we've got medium-range planes like the Mirage 2000C RDI. They've got short-range missiles, but also medium-range missiles and their autocannon. They are quite polyvalent, they are quite versatile, can tackle different situations, These guys are best used to intercept enemy fighters. They can send a few missiles, and quick missiles, quickly, at quite good range, medium range, to deal some damage, and then at short range have 2 more missiles to kill the plane and help getting help with the oil cannon. The last category of planes, the most expensive ones, are the long-range planes, like the of course F-14 Tomcat. It's basically 12-kilometer range missiles. The drawback of this plane is that it's got a low rate of fire, and it has no short-range missiles, meaning at short range it will get killed by any short-range plane. The Starfighter we saw, the Mirage 2000 we saw, they will totally kill the F-14 Tomcat at short range. This kind of plane, as I'll show you in the second video, is used in best circling above your territory and sending missiles from afar and evacuating as soon as you see multiple short-range units coming in your way. So that's basically it. We've seen the ground attack planes, ATGM, rocket, the bombs, HE, cluster, and napalm, the seed planes, and then the 3 type of interceptor planes, or air superiority fighter, whatever you want to call them. So that's basically it for the planes. I'm sorry I didn't go really into details, but this video has already lasted quite long. I'm going to go into a second video to show you how to use these planes on the battlefield. Thanks for watching, and see you very shortly.